Hello and welcome to another episode of Zero BS Estate Agency. Now today I'm interviewing James Cocker. Now James is the Director of Accelerator Sales and Lettings, where he specialises in generating instructions for estate agents on a pay-per-lead basis. His role involves developing strategies and methods to drive real estate sales and lettings while ensuring a cost-effective approach for his clients. With his expertise, he aids estate agents in expanding their client base and achieving optimal results in the property market. James, welcome to Zero BS Estate Agency. So James, what is the one thing that truly maximises the value of someone's home when they go to sell their property?
So when it comes to selling a property, I'm a bit biased. I use social media an awful lot, but I'm going to say as well as marketing it correctly on the portals, you want to market it correctly on social media, because the only real value the portals have is at the end of the day, eyes on your listing from buyers, but then all the buyers and potential buyers are out there on social media. There's a few ways you can do that to really maximize the viewership you get on social media. The first thing is going to be the format. A lot of people post photos and that kind of thing. Photos are great. People like to scroll through them. But as well as photos, the one piece of content that gets the most eyes on your vendor's listing is going to be short form portrait reels videos. We've all seen the portrait 30-second short videos. Those get the most reach on social media. Facebook and Instagram we're talking about mainly because those are the main platforms you're going to be marketing on. And the reason why they get so much reach is because social media platforms want to keep viewers on their platform. They want to keep them engaged. That content grew TikTok to 2 billion users in like 4 years. Facebook and Instagram want to keep people on the platform. They're going to reward you for pushing out content like that. But also, if that's the kind of content that gets people the most engagement, that's how you want to market your estate agency. It's also how you want to market your listings. You can get hundreds, if not thousands, of local views for free just by having short form portrait videos of your property. Okay, it's really entertaining for people. The next thing you want to do is put it on your social media before they go on the portals, so you get eyes on you, people looking directly to you to see your vendors' listings. If you had a bunch of local people looking to your estate agency for more properties on social media, you're going to get more views on your vendors' listings too. And the next thing you want to do is, of course, link it back to your website. You don't want to give up all this traffic to Rightmove. That's partly more on the estate agency side rather than the listing side of things. But at the end of the day, if you're drumming up all this interest in your listings on social media and your business, you want to have a brand touch point. You don't need to give that attention to Rightmove where they're already looking, right? The next thing you want to do to really maximize the viewership of potential buyers on that listing is share it into local Facebook groups. Because what happens when you do this is that, well, first of all, you look more active, but people want to see properties, they're curious to know about what's selling. People are always looking on Rightmove to check the property price on the street, that kind of thing. I did this with an estate agent and the numbers were insane. And you can do this completely for free, right? If you just post it correctly on your social media and you share it into Facebook groups from your Facebook page for your estate agency. We've got 20,000 impressions on the listing. That's 20,000 times it was seen. We had over 70 comments. They were all people, local people, tagging friends and family that were interested in that kind of property. We had 100 views on the estate agent's property page on their website. And we had a dozen inquiries on that property alone via Messenger, which was more inquiries than On the Market brought and more inquiries than Zoopla brought as well, which is insane feedback and value to go back to your vendor and say, look, we've done this. It's also vital if you can get those kind of results for free on social media just by using those 3 simple steps: the kind of content, the way you market the property, the type of video you film around that, getting it on your Facebook page for the portals, and then share it in local groups where all those local buyers are hanging out and people know the local people are going to tag them. It's a must do if you're going to get the best price for the property in today's market. But also, again, that can lead into for your vendor, or also speak to a potential vendor. You can use that to kind of close off business too, because today's market, when properties are selling, well, not as fast as they have been, let's just say that, and also for less prices, you need to get maximum market exposure on that property. If all of your estate agents are going to stick it on the portals, but you can put it on your social media and you can beat the 2 biggest portals in terms of inquiries and viewings, you can have the most viewings. The more buyers you get around, the more offers you're going to get. The more offers you're going to get, the more chances you have of finding the strongest buyer and getting the best price you can do and getting the maximum market value for the property in today's market. And then, the better buyers, or the more choice of buyers you have, the better buyer you can choose, and the less likely you are to fall through, the more likely you are to get to exchange and completion. If anything does fall through, if you've had multiple offers, you have more buyers to go back and choose from. But then you could potentially miss out on a dozen viewings and inquiries on that property if you don't market it correctly on social media, which could be the difference between, in today's market, selling it or not selling it. That's a responsibility, I think, for estate agents to give to their vendors by using these platforms correctly, because they do have the most viewership at times of potential buyers via properties. And those 3 steps I just gave there, that's how you do it effectively.
Wow. I love that, mate. I absolutely love that. Effectively, what you're saying is really the agent that's representing a seller, but believes in marketing, but not just marketing on a portal, actually using all the tools available. So, for example, you mentioned Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, to get as many eyeballs on. I mean, look, if you're getting, 20,000 views on one property or impressions on one property, then you're getting multiple comments, and then you're getting 12 people that are actually actively like, oh my God, this is great. That's much better than the portals actually achieve. That's incredible.
At times, so what this is what I'm saying, so it beat on the market in terms of the number of inquiries that came from there, and it also beat Zoopla. I'm not too sure if that property beat the 2 combined, but it definitely beat them individually. The only thing it didn't beat is Rightmove, which is fair enough. Rightmove has probably the most viewership of buyers right now. That's fine. But yeah, so I feel like personally, again, I may be a bit biased, but I do feel like at times, based on what I've seen, the numbers that I've seen with estate agents I'm working with and also agents that I'm not working with, for what you get on the smaller portals, you might as well just pour it into your social media and going direct to the people in your market that are selling, buying, or letting a property, because it's estimated that Rightmove has 85% of all the portal traffic every month. So of all the people viewing portals every single month, Rightmove has 85% of it. That means that Zoopla on the market, second and third biggest portals, plus the rest of them, have to share a measly 15% of all the potential viewers out there on portals. You can get way more than that on your social media. And the value of it on social media is that, doing it in this way, especially sharing into local groups, there's a benefit for your estate agency too, because you look a lot more active. It's the same thing as boards breed boards. If you're seen to be active in a postcode on the street, chances are you offer brand awareness, you're going to get a call from potential vendors. Well, it's the same thing here. If you can share into local groups, nobody else is doing that. So you're going to look a lot more active. And off the back of that social proof, you're going to get good inquiries from vendors off your social media. I can tell you, it's not a single potential vendor that's seen you on social media and seen the engagement and the massive social proof. Those likes, comments, shares from people tagging others, that's also massive social proof and belief in your estate agency as well. There's not a single vendor that will have seen that doesn't want their property marketed in that way. And again, marketing your property on social media like this is an amazing tool to be able to go out and close potential business you're going out to today. Because again, if other agents aren't doing that, but you are, plus the portals, who have they got the best chance of selling with, especially in today's market? There's a lot of potential selling listings wise and a lot of potential listing more properties that can come from just doing it effectively.
Do you know this? Yeah, yeah. And do you know what? I completely agree with you, right? Because for me, what's the one thing that truly maximizes the value of someone's home, I always say price, right? The initial price. What I like about what you're saying is that, yeah, of course, absolutely. But, how much social proof does the agent actually have within the market that they're currently operating? And that, yeah, do you know what? I completely agree with you, because yeah, you may have a property on at the right price, but if you're not marketing correctly, if you're not actually out there physically with a social proof, and just, if you're just relying on Rightmove, Zoopla on the market, and that's all you're relying on, wow, in today's world, that's nowhere near good enough. So your insights, and what I like about the insights that you have, is because you're actively operating with estate agents, doing their marketing content, showing them obviously tactics, strategies in order to get more eyeballs on. You've got an amazing insight, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm looking at loads of numbers all the time in terms of leads, listings, everything. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So in terms of you as a business, you personally, what's your background?
Me, it's just social media marketing. I started working with estate agents 5 years ago, but before that, I did a lot of stuff on Instagram. I also had a part-time job in sales when I was a teenager, door-to-door sales. So it's always been sales and marketing based. But I started to look at kind of property, and I wanted to get into that at some point in the future. And with my own background in sales and marketing, it made sense for me to go and work with estate agents because they were sales and marketing based businesses, and that could bode well for getting into property later down the line. So that's where that came from.
And your Facebook posts, by the way, are absolutely brutal.
You think so?
Yeah, no, I love them. But the thing is, what you're doing, which I love, and affected. So you're pointing out not necessarily the obvious. You're bringing massive value in those posts, but you are also calling people out to be better. Yeah, can I actually be better? It's not like you're saying use me, use me, use me. I'm the best social media marketing guru. Clearly, you are very good, but that's not what you're saying. You're adding massive value whilst calling people out. And to be honest with you, when I read those posts, I love them. I'm like, yes, this is it. Because ultimately, I believe that agents should be every day. Can I be better than I was yesterday? And that may be just moving a needle 1%, but can I be? And I think that you're certainly pushing the envelope on that and pushing people. But why? Why are your posts so direct?
I'm quite direct myself, to be honest with you. I don't really like any fanning around and stuff and messing about with stuff, really. I'd rather just go and get a result than just play around doing everything, all the fluff that doesn't get a result. I think there's a lot of that out there in terms of social media for estate agents, I'll be honest. But also in terms of, look, I just care about what works, right? For my own business, I want results, and that means getting results for clients, and that's what keeps you in business. It's the same for estate agents. You want what works for your vendors at the end of the day, and good service is the same thing. I'm a very results-based person. That's really the one thing that I care about.
Yeah. So are you saying then it's not necessarily, although it's a massive, massive, massive chunk, which is where is that property being marketed and how is it being marketed? But are you effectively saying actually what truly maximizes the value of someone's home is an agent who is results based, and what sits underneath that is not just relying on a platform like Rightmove or Zoopla or on the market, but also relying on different video format, whether it's 7 seconds or whether it's 60 seconds or whether it's, you mentioned short form content. Are you saying it's more about the agent who is willing to explore different avenues for their client?
Oh, yeah, definitely, of course it is, because when people explore new avenues of doing things, they find a better way of doing things or a new way of doing things that works better or could work alongside a current way of doing things. Things move forward. That's how agents move forward. That's how industries move forward at the end of the day. I've been starting for 5 years working with stages now. The last 5 years, especially, a lot of things have moved forward with their marketing. It's very different to what it was 5 years ago. A lot of agents are much just more acclimatized to social media, from videos on the platform, that kind of thing. But yeah, this is it. When people aren't afraid to try new things. Speaking with a lot of estate agents that have started their own business, there's a lot of agents work with that have started their own business, but they've got a lot of experience. And one of the big things they always say why they started their own business was because they were very fed up of stuck in the same old, same old. There's a lot of, if it's not broke, don't fix it, that kind of thing, right? And they just didn't want to do that anymore. They saw new ways of doing things. They wanted to do their own thing. And it's typically those agents, I've been blessed to work with some amazing agents. They've got, a lot. I think the average agent I work with has 4.9 average stars in terms of Google reviews, which is insane, for about, I think, 70 odd reviews on average. And it's those agents that, again, I've been very fortunate to work with, but it's those agents that are looking to do new things, that are moving the needle forward, and therefore they get the best feedback from clients in terms of results, yes, but also in terms of service and that kind of thing. So I think it is the people that are looking to move the needle forward in things in their business, or whether that's going and doing their own business, doing things differently, social media, content, service they want to give, whether that's one-to-one personal service or however way they want to do it. I've seen the agents get the best results in the market for vendors when they have that kind of mindset. And this is it. If plenty of people have seen, 5 years ago, the self-employed model with estate agents wasn't super popular. It was still quite a new thing. 5 years ago, EXP, I don't think, had launched in the UK yet. But once everybody starts to see quite a few people doing things differently and it's working for them, that gives them the same idea, gives them the same inspiration, and they can go and do the same things, whether that's marketing property, marketing themselves, giving better service to their vendors, whatever it is. That always moves the needle forward. And then, of course, when somebody's done it, everybody else is going to do it. I think I talked about the 4-minute mile in a Facebook post a little while ago, because once upon a time, people thought it was impossible, it couldn't be done. As soon as one person did it, a bunch of people went and did it. And now I think they're pushing nearly a 3.5 minute mile. Once that barrier's been broken, there'll be more people that can do it. Because once you know somebody's done something, you've only got to follow in their footsteps, right? You and have more belief in it because you know it's a real thing. It's not a case of you believe you can do it now. You know you can do it because you've seen somebody else go and do it. And once that happens, then everything else starts to move forward, standards can improve, and industries move forward too. And this agency is no different.
So from a seller's perspective, generally speaking,
Yes.
they tend to, well, that agent's been on the high street since God was a boy. That agent there, I like their logo. And that agent there, I think, has the, I don't know, the kudos or the razzmatazz, their name above the shop window looks to be a really good one. I'm going to call them round. But actually, what you're saying is, yes, there is merit in that, but the landscape of a state agency has changed and it's more moving towards individual brands. Would that be fair?
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair shift. And I think it's always good as far as vendors are concerned to be considering, look, who's going to get you the best result? Is it the one on the high street that sells every property in your area? It may well be, that's fair enough. Or is it somebody that could have a more one-to-one, more tailored, maybe a bit more diligent approach for your specific home and your specific needs, and maybe doing the things on social media a little bit differently. Now, it's a case of, at the end of the day, for vendors, who's going to get you the most eyes on your property at the end of the day, who's going to drum up the most interest in that property, and who's going to look after you throughout your property transaction. And I think if I was a seller, I'll make my decision based off of those two things.
Yeah. And I'm in the firm belief any agent who is prepared to put themselves out there on social media to actually tell sellers exactly what achieves the best price or gives them advice, ones that will be able to stand by what they've just said. For me, at the moment, I think they're the ones that are actually going to take over. And then couple that with what you're suggesting in your 3 points that you raised earlier in this conversation. Yeah, I think that is definitely the way forward for agents, but also for sellers as well, to have somebody that's truly representing them, almost a local authority, Phil Spence.
Sure. Yeah, almost it can be. I mean, we talk about Phil Spence because he's got a personal brand. We know him, we can look to him, and we know him and we know what he stands for. We know he's involved in property, and that builds a lot of trust there as well. So, again, moving on, I guess, from the high street question, it could be a case of, yes, who's the most established, who's going to get the most views on your property, but also it's also moving to a point where if people can see you and who you are, they know, like, and trust you. But if they can see you, they can see you doing well, they see your videos, that kind of thing, property videos, they can see how you market properties. That builds a lot of trust. Versus, I'm not saying the high street stuff doesn't work. Plenty of high street agents still do a whole lot of business. The best agents in my area, they're still the most established on the high street. But it's a case of, if people can see you or they can see the people behind the brand, that builds a lot of trust. Moving home is a massive, massive thing. What is it? Second most stressful life event people vote it as. So that trust, as well as to getting the eyes on your property and stuff, that trust that you have with somebody, you can have trust with a brand, but trust is built quicker between people. Rather than person to brand, it's built person to person, it's built much quicker. Social media is definitely a place to put yourself out there and do that. And I think it could be a case of, as well, building that trust, seeing who you are, seeing how you run your business, how you market your properties and stuff. If they have a clear visual on that, then they're going to be hooked on you at the end of the day, especially if you're in the local area. People do like to see local goings on, or the local people, what they get up to, local properties for sale. We know all this stuff. But then you can use that to get their eyes on you. But those relationships with potential customers, a lot of people that are self-employed, actually, they put themselves out there. They get a lot of referrals from people they didn't even know, but those people knew them, right? It's not necessarily about who you know today, it's about who knows you. I think as far as the self-employed stuff is concerned.
Yeah, mate, absolutely love it. James Cocker, you've been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on this podcast, mate. It's been brilliant.
Thank you for having me on.